So apparently, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to prepare for a second wave or a second spike of corona. It's still the talk of the town. In fact, they're saying that we must prepare for a second wave, and all the fear-mongering headlines are continuing to hit us.
Today, businesses were trying to follow a fine line. Reopening requires some precision.
We're taking out all this current seating.
This restaurant is already fully booked for July the 4th.
So we can fit as many people in for outside dining.
They'll use an intercom to limit who comes in, but preventing the virus from spreading won't just be their call.
Are you confident that you can control your customers once they've had a couple of drinks?
There's no choice. We have to. We have to. Can we follow them into the bathroom and make sure that they're not stood next to each other in the mirror? No, we can't. Okay. There has to be some common sense being placed on the customers.
They'll also have to behave at pubs and hotels, hairdressers, cinemas, museums and libraries, wedding venues and places of worship, which are all preparing to reopen in England a week on Saturday.
Do you hear what he said? Cheeky bloody son. They'll also have to behave themselves. Who's he talking about? Like naughty little school kids, isn't it? Naughty boy, naughty girl, behave yourselves. I like it when he asks the question though. How are you going to be able to control people? The delay there. It's impossible. People are going to stand next to each other in mirrors and be, as long as you open the toilets for them, please do, by the way, but as long as you do, people need to use the facilities. People need to walk about. If you're going to invite them into your business, including a pub or a restaurant, people are going to be walking around. It's an unfortunate thing that tends to happen, unfortunately. But anyway, as they said, businesses, including pubs, restaurants, hairdressers, and lots of different businesses are now opening on July the 4th. I see they've picked a very, very clever day for it, a Saturday. Everybody's going to be rushing in. There's going to be problems, isn't there? Oh, we're going to have to close down now. We're going to have to. Maybe it's all part of the plan. Maybe if they'd have picked a Monday or something, then these businesses would have been able to gradually work up to things, get themselves used to it, and people would, steadily start going. Saturday, everybody's going to rush in. Maybe it's part of the plan to get them all shut down again. Who knows? I won't be rushing out to these places. I've got no cause for a haircut anytime soon, and I also heard with pubs you've got to ring them beforehand so they can tell you how busy they are, and you've obviously heard potentially that you've got to register and stuff like that. I'm already bored of it. Forget it. I just can't be arsed with it. And I've drank a little bit too much over the last few days as well, so I'm erring on the side of alcohol being evil at the minute, which is helping as well. But I can go months on end without drinking and feel pretty good for that too, so I can take it or leave it at the minute. Here's a bit of good news though. We've got to give this guy a big shout out. This is Ralph Findlay. He's the CEO of Marston's. They're a pub chain that have got about 1,400 pubs across the UK. And he said that he's not planning to make any of his customers register their details or call beforehand. And he's also not making his staff wear face nappies. Because he thinks that it makes it feel like a hospital and he doesn't like it. So big shout out to him. Whether it's a pub, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's hairdressers, whether it's a shopping centre, I've always said that if we continue to spend our money in these places that are enforcing these measures, then they're just going to keep doing it. They're just going to keep getting worse. And it takes people like this chap to say, no, not doing it. And the more we encourage that, the more we spend in these type of places and boycott other places, then that's when they get the message. Vote with your wallet.
But while people are queuing up for some normality, doctors are demanding an urgent review of whether Britain's leaving itself open to a second wave.
Whilst we're all celebrating the release of lockdown, the reality is that we haven't done as well as we should have done or we would have wanted to have done as a country in comparison with similar countries. So the question is, what can we learn from our experience so that when we see the second wave, we learn from it and we know what we can do more effectively?
Like I said, the language is it's going to happen when the second wave happens. You've got to give this virus a lot of credit. It's actually incredibly intelligent because this virus knows to not affect people in protests. peaceful protests. Don't affect people then. But when people are going to beaches, when people are going to shopping centres, when they're going to pubs, when they're going to restaurants, that's when we've really got to watch out, because the virus knows. It's very clever like that, you see. Very, very clever.
Baking and with little else to do. This is what almost 33-degree heat looks like after 3 months in lockdown. Bournemouth Council's worst nightmare. A major incident declared after thousands of people defied advice to stay away. Illegal parking, 33 tonnes of waste, drunken fights and gridlock on the roads.
These are incredible numbers. I mean, Dorset is a beautiful place to go, but 500,000 people. It's the product of a perfect storm, really. And some of the actions that we've seen, very selfish behaviour that we've seen on Bournemouth Beach, is not what Britain should be about in this enduring emergency.
Further down the coast in Brighton, marshals were on standby, ready to shut down the beach should similar crowds occur. Impatient for the next phase of lockdown easing, social distancing rules seem to be going out the window. Could this undo everything we've achieved in lockdown?
The closer people are together, the greater the risk is that the virus will spread. And we've seen a resurgence of COVID-19 in countries around the world that thought they'd got on top of it. So this is a real cause for concern.
I believe this chap at the end. He looks like a Doctor Doom. Anyway, I didn't hear the same levels of concern when there were peaceful protests. But for these selfish people wanting to get out of lockdown and maybe enjoy just a little bit of what there is left to enjoy, just going down to the beach and getting a little bit of sea and sunshine and getting just that natural healthiness, the magnesium, these natural cures for many things in life. These people are selfish. I didn't hear the same concerns when people were peacefully protesting. But like I say, go to the beach and you've got our mate Matt Hancock saying that if we're selfish enough to do this, then he's going to consider closing down the beaches. Of course he is. Hey, why not just close everything down? Yeah, why not just go for it? Before you say that sounds a bit extreme, they can't do that, they can't shut everything down. Well, I keep hearing my old city where I used to live, Leicester, they are looking at locking down the entire city because there's been a spike in coronavirus cases. The old mayor of Leicester, though, he's a little bit sceptical about it.
For another 2 weeks. Are you saying you're not prepared to do that?
I'm saying we need to be convinced that there is a case for doing that. First of all, that there is something special about the spread of the virus in Leicester. We've had no evidence to convince us of that. And that if Leicester was to remain restricted for longer than the rest of England, that would actually make a difference to something. And they've made neither the case that there is something that needs to be done and given any explanation as to why this is the right thing to do.
Well, the case, as I understand it, is that there has been a high incidence of people testing positive in Leicester, and particularly amongst younger age groups, and that therefore that is a cause of concern because they don't want it to spread.
Well, actually, the report that we've had from them readily acknowledges right at the outset that, in fact, the results are indeed higher in Leicester, but that's because they've been doing more testing in Leicester. And that perhaps is a fairly inevitable reflection of what's been happening.
Whoa, now you're being too logical, Mr. Mayor. More testing has resulted in more cases, more positive cases, and therefore a spike. No, that's way too logical, isn't it? And he goes on to say that, like lots of other cities in the UK, the death rates have actually gone down, but the reason for the spike is because they have been testing more. And like lots of other people keep saying, including Donald Trump, President Trump has said, slow down on the testing because it's making us look pretty bad. The same thing is happening in Leicester by the looks of it. And I think what the biggest issue is especially in the UK and England, is that the government act like they can say something and then we ask how high, right? So it's pure authoritarianism, pure totalitarianism, right? They give a demand and they expect us just to go through with it. What they don't expect is for critical thinkers, which this country has got still, critical thinkers to say, well, hang on a minute, please provide the evidence before again we go wrecking entire cities, wreck our economy even more, wreck further lives, cause more deaths because of lockdown. Before we do all that, hey, please let us know the exact reasons why. And maybe it is because we're testing more that it looks like this. They don't want critical thinkers. They don't expect it. And it's the precise reason why, from a young age of indoctrination through education, they don't want critical thinkers. They want obedient servants, as George Carlin rightly points out in his comedy sketches. They don't want critical thinkers. They want obedient servants. When they give an order, the response that they want is how high, not why. A couple of videos back, I made a joke about what was coming next in 2020. Aliens? Well, check this out. If you've enjoyed these few minutes of common sense, rationale and sanity, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell to stay updated. Thanks for all your support on Patreon and PayPal, and thanks for sharing with everybody that you know. Don't forget to grab your t-shirt. We've got plenty of great designs to sport through the high street, in the supermarket, down your local streets. I'm sure you'll love them. There's a link in the description below. And in these trying times, the very best place to stay in touch is to subscribe on the website carlvernon.com. Ta-ta.